spending cash, talking trash. I'll show you a real good time. Come on with me and leave your troubles behind. I don't care where you've been. You ain't been nowhere till you've been in. Where the in crowd. Where the in crowd. In crowd. In crowd.
So, I have a new fork here for this bike. I got this on eBay from a seller that was discounting it substantially, and so I decided to purchase it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm swapping out the fork. This fork that you see on here, this is a 27.5 fork for a 27.5 wheel, and it has a 37 millimeter offset. This fork right here is designed for a 29-inch wheel, and it has a 51 millimeter offset, and that's the distance between the center line of the steering axis and the center line of the hub. And that offset really defines, for the most part, what the trail and the steering will be like on your bicycle. There are other factors that go into trail, namely the head tube angle, and then of course the wheel size, as well as the fork length. But for the most part, these two forks are similar in size. This is a 29er fork, so it's a little bit longer. And what that will do is it will raise the front end of the bike slightly, and that will change the head tube angle slightly. And it'll also increase the length of the fork slightly. All of those factors will go into what defines the overall trail and handling. Higher trail, more stable; low trail, quicker handling. Okay, so let's measure up this fork really quick, kind of rough dimension. So right now, with the bike sitting here, the center of the axle to the top of the fork crown is 46 centimeters. And this one, with no weight on it, so not an exact apples to apples comparison. We will get more accurate. We'll go axle to crown here in a second. Oh yeah, so this is 49 and a half. And so center of axle to crown is about 51 and a half to 52. centimeters. And this one is roughly 48.5, 49. So it's about, this fork is about 2 centimeters longer. It also is currently set to, I believe, have 120 millimeters of travel, and that one I believe is set at 100. So that's a 30, about 38.5, roughly. 38, 38.5. And this one is 37. 36.5, 37. So you get an extra 1.5 centimeters for tire clearance. And the reason I want a taller bridge is I want more fender clearance, because I want to run a 2.6 tire on this bike in a 27.5 wheel diameter. And right now there's only about 1.5 centimeters of clearance. So with this fork, I'm going to actually have more fender clearance with the bigger tire that I plan to put on here. So those are the differences between the forks. I can't say for sure I know what the internals are in terms of the difference. When you read the spec sheets, they look similar. This damper might be slightly different. And this fork comes with, they supply you with these spacers so you can reduce the travel. So what I could do is drop the travel down to 100 millimeters to bring the front back down. And then in a sense, I should have more or less the exact same height of the bike, maybe only slightly because the fork, the lowers are just slightly longer, but really close to where that is, and yet a much more reduced trail, which is what I'm looking for. And for those that don't remember, this bike, when we built it, we designed it around a 70-degree head tube angle. John built it to be 70 at sag, so I think when it's sitting here unloaded, it's probably around 69. So I'm guessing with this fork, it's probably going to jump to like 68, maybe 67.5 unloaded, and then once it's loaded, it might sag down to like 68.5, roughly, somewhere in there as it is. And then if we end up putting spacers in, we can probably drop that down even more to get it closer to like 69 degrees or so. I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think it's good as it is as far as that goes. So anyway, let's get this fork swapped out and give it a try. That's what I want to do today.
So this is from the Bones to Blue ride?
Yep.
Oh, worn down there?
Pretty much down to...
Wow.
Overall, I'm pleased with how this fork is performing. I like the extra travel. I didn't think it would make much of a difference, but actually it was a noticeable difference, and I think a noticeable improvement, especially when you're dropping down on a steep descent and you're hitting rocks and roots and stuff. That extra travel, it does help. The other thing that I noticed was that with this additional offset, the bike feels a little bit better both riding on a flat road and also climbing. That lower trail helps to make the bike feel more stable on the climbs and less of that kind of wheel flop sensation you get when you have a really high trail, really slack head tube angle. This bike feels a little bit better now. To be honest, I would prefer a little less wheel flop, but I think we're getting closer, and I think one more thing I can do to improve that would be to put the same size tires on the front and the back. So for this ride today, I went ahead and swapped out the front tire. I put the front tire on the back, and I put this 2.6 tire on the front. I wanted to see if it would actually fit, and it does. It fits quite well. But the issue is that with the bigger tire on the front and a 2.6 on the front and a 2.3 on the back, what it does is it has the effect of decreasing the head tube angle because the back end is lower than the front. So effectively it decreases the head tube angle, which gives that bike the sensation of having more wheel flop. So what I could do is go to similar sized tires front and back, or even put the bigger tire on the back and the smaller tire in the front. I don't know if anybody would do that, but that's an option too, and that would have the effect of lowering the front and increasing the head tube angle, which decreases wheel flop. So that is kind of my conclusion about it. I think the fork is really nice. The damper, the way it rides and feels, it feels very much like the higher end fork that I had on here, or the higher level fork that I had on here, which is supposedly has maybe a slightly better damper, maybe, I don't really know. But overall, the feel of this is great. In fact, I think with the extra travel, it actually feels better than the other fork. So there's some tuning to do to get it really dialed in, but otherwise, I'm really pleased, and I think this bike is starting to get closer to how I imagined it to be when we first sat down to design it. So I'm looking forward to getting all the final things worked out on it and using this for more bike touring, bike packing, and day ride adventures. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a nice evening. We'll see you in the next video.